Hi, bestie. Today we are talking about the power of saying no. Most of us are raised to be agreeable, to say yes when we want to say no, to not cause havoc or chaos or just waves. And the problem is when you say yes to things that you want to say no to, you build resentment, and that is self abandonment. And when you abandon yourself, people that are around you will also start doing the same, because the way you treat yourself is the way other people will start to treat you. So when I started saying no, I have realized that I had more time for myself, I had more peace, and I was more aligned with who I am and what I want to do. Okay, so I remember I had this friend of mine who always called me to vent about something that they were going through in their lives, and every time when I do the same, maybe they wouldn't pick up the phone or they just would not be available. And then I realized that I had to say no, and then she called again, and then I said no, I can't do this right now. That did not break our friendship. Instead, it made it stronger. And then in my friendship, we started this thing of, before you vent to someone, you ask them, do you have the capability to allow me to vent today? And then also we would ask, do you want advice or do you just want someone to listen? I think it helps when both of you as friends are working towards the same goals, where you have similar values, and then when you say things like no, because I don't have space for this, or I don't have the capacity to take venting today, it does not break you guys apart, but instead it makes you even stronger friends. Okay, so remember that no is not a rejection, it is a redirection. Okay, and it can be hard sometimes to say no because we feel like people are not going to like us, and we don't want to disappoint people, or we feel like if we say no, people are going to think that we are being selfish. But honestly, being selfish is fine as long as you're not intentionally hurting other people. If you're choosing yourself, that is self-respect, that is self-love, and that is self-care. And remember, like I always say, you are your first priority. So before you can say yes to anyone, make sure that you are okay with yourself. Make sure that you are happy with your answer or your response to other people. So what happens when you start saying no? So when you start saying no to other people, at first it's going to be awkward because you're not used to just saying no to other people, and also you're still in the back of your mind thinking that maybe you're being selfish, maybe you're being inconsiderate, maybe you're not being kind to other people. But you need to learn to sit in that discomfort, sit in that awkwardness until you get used to it. Okay, the second thing that you can do is you need to start small. You can start small with maybe strangers. If, let's say, you are at the salon, right? At the salon to do maybe your facial, and then you do your facial, and then the person who's doing your facial offers or asks you if you want to buy another product and you don't want to buy that product, then you say no, thank you. Okay, because for me, I used to be a people pleaser so much that sometimes I would feel sorry after someone tells me a sob story at the salon, and then I end up buying a product that I did not even want to buy, and then I end up just using it and resenting myself for not being able to say no. Even at the salon, when you are maybe doing your nails and you don't like the color that you've picked, and you're like, nope, this is not the color, this is not how I thought this color would come out, so can you please change it to maybe this one? So allow yourself to say no when you don't feel like saying yes, and the more you strengthen, or the more you practice your no's, the more you will strengthen your muscle of no. And I feel like kids and men are really good at this because they don't really care how you're going to feel about it, and also they realize that your response, the way your emotions are, is not their responsibility. So same applies to you. Other people's response and energies and emotions are not your responsibility. You need to put yourself first. You need to pour into yourself first, so that you don't build a resentment and anger towards people because you have said yes when you wanted to say no. So what happens when you say no is you will start to have more time to do more things that you love. You'll have more peace, because what happens to me sometimes when people are venting to me, I start to carry their problems and I start to think of solutions. But when you said no, then you have more peace in your mind. I think this is very important for empaths, where when someone tells you something sad, you also become sad for them, and then you start finding solutions and working so hard in your mind. Learn to say no when you can, especially when you have problems that you're dealing with yourself that you can't vent to anyone about. Okay. And also, what happens when you say no is you start being authentic, because now you're not just saying yes for the sake of it, but you are honoring yourself and you are being who you are meant to be. And authenticity is also one of the highest frequencies, and people can feel it when you're being authentic. So try to practice this. Try to say no. Okay, so you need to really be mindful about this, because when you are more authentic, you also fall in love with yourself, and also people around you can sense it when you love yourself, and they will treat you accordingly. Because also, authenticity is one of the highest vibrations, one of the highest frequencies that you can be in life. I think that's why, even if someone is mean, but if you can say that they're being authentic, you start to like them, because you're like, wow, that is so brave of you. Wow, that is so courageous. Okay, so another thing that I can also advise you is, before saying yes to someone, take a moment to pause. And what this can look like is, when someone is asking you for a favor, you say, can I please come back to you about this? Or maybe say, can I call you later and tell you if I'm going to be able to do this or not? So that gives you time to reflect with yourself and ask yourself if you really want to do this, or you just want to say to do it for the sake of being a people pleaser. And then another thing is, you can be firm and still assertive about your no. Remember that your no does not need an explanation. Okay, but you don't have to be rude about it. You can just say, thank you for considering me, or thank you for inviting me, but I'd love to pass on this one. Thank you for inviting me, but I can't make it today. Maybe I'm tired. Or just say no, thank you. Okay. And then you realize that you have more time to be more creative, to rest when you are tired, and you'll just have so much peace of mind. And also, you'll have more freedom to be yourself. The last quote that I want to leave you with is, remember that no is a complete sentence. Your boundaries don't need to be explained. Okay, the last thing that I forgot to mention about this is, no does not only apply to other people, but it also applies to yourself. So you must have boundaries with yourself as well, where you say no. If you feel like you need to buy maybe ice cream, even though you are on a diet, or maybe you're watching your weight, you should be able to say no to yourself, because you know that sugar is not good for you. And the minute you are able to say no to yourself and set clear boundaries with yourself, you will be able to do that for other people. It will be easy for you to set boundaries for other people, because at the end of the day, the way you treat yourself is the way you will also allow other people to treat you. I hope this helps. Let me know in the comment section below, what areas or what thing are you going to start saying no to today. Let's share and be accountable for one another. Okay, have a day as beautiful as you are. I love you. Thank you for your time and your energy. Goodbye.